All right, good deal. So, as I was just saying, we've got the recording on. And so, one way to acknowledge the recording is to turn your camera on or turn your microphone on, and then it should prompt you to say, hey, you're aware we're recording. So, we're going to go around the room if we can. If you're able to turn on your camera, great. If you were not planning on turning on your camera and you're still in your PJs, then just please turn your microphone on. So, going around the room, my name is Justin Polizzi. This class is a biochemistry class, and this was the first 3,000 level class that we had at Georgia Highlands. To my knowledge, I'm the one who kind of designed the course based on other biochemistry courses that I've taken, and then ones that are available throughout the university system of Georgia. And so this is kind of my baby. My degree's in biochemistry, so I was really excited to be able to offer this class, and hopefully it's helping some folks who are thinking about going on to a four-year degree somewhere, or they're looking at PA school, dental school, medical school. Typically, there's a requirement for a biochemistry class. So that's what I'm hoping to bring to the table. And then I'm just going to call on people kind of on the order that they appear on my screen. So Reese, you were just talking. Would you let us know a little bit about your background, what you're hoping to get out of the course?
Yeah. So I actually just graduated from Covenant College and I have a biology degree, but I'm taking this course because I'm hoping to apply to PA school in the fall. So,
Great, excellent. And so with PA school, I've seen two different kind of requirements. Sometimes they'll say, you either have to take an organic chemistry class or a biochemistry class, and one of those has to have a lab. In some cases, the PA school is perfectly fine with a biochemistry class that's just a lecture. So just make sure you're checking in with the different PA schools that you're looking at.
yes, sir. I took organic chemistry last summer in the lab. So,
Okay, great. Great. So Wesley, you're up next on my screen. Could you just give us a little bit about your background, what you're hoping to get out of the course?
Um, yeah, I'm taking the course because I have to go to med school.
Mhm.
I have to go to med school. I already have an associate in biology. I had that at Georgia Highlands right here, and yeah, I took the OChem too in summer. So I think yeah, I want to go to med school. That's why I'm taking the biochemistry.
Okay, great. So in this course, we will cover some things that would show up on the MCAT, for instance, and so I'll try to highlight some of that, and then some of the differences maybe in like the counts for ATP that we present here in the class versus what they're going to talk about on the MCAT, because sometimes we deal with different numbers.
Okay.
All right, so Dalton, you're next up on my list. Could you tell me a little bit about what you're hoping to get out of the class?
So I'm actually currently enrolled in pharmacy school. This is a prerequisite course that they required that I had to take before I start in August.
Okay, awesome. Welcome to the class. Courtney, you are next up on my list. Could you tell us a little bit about your background, what you're hoping to get out of the course? We've got you muted right now, Courtney. Sure, if I can unmute an individual. All right, so we'll move on to the next person on my list. Looks like Dominica. Is that how you like it to be pronounced? Please correct me. I'm not great with names.
Yes, hey, good morning.
Hey,
Yes,
good
I am
morning.
Domenica Brown. My background is I'm a medical assistant and I'm also in the track of health science. My bachelor's in health science here at Highlands. And I'm taking this class because I will be applying for PA school in the future.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right, so I am sharing my screen. I can see it on my second desktop that I have open, and so just want to kind of go over the course. This is a course that's going to be based out of D2L, but we're going to have our meetings on Teams. Let's see. So I put in an announcement, hey, welcome to biochemistry. There's already a participation activity that you can complete, making sure that you've got access to the login information for class. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to see if there's a way if I can turn off the waiting room so that you just come right in and we don't have to have all the the extra beeping. So sometimes students, faculty kind of navigate D2L a little bit differently. So just making sure you know the way I'm kind of loading things into the class and then thinking about the way you're going to be able to access some of that information. Whenever possible, I'm going to write announcements either before or after class saying, hey, this is what we covered. Here's links to all the stuff. I can give you links to the slides, fun stuff like that. So one of the first things that we have is the syllabus. And so up here, if you click on the syllabus, we now use a simple syllabus across Georgia Highlands. So hopefully all of your syllabi are looking very similar. And that will allow you to say, hey, this is my instructor. These are the course objectives we should be hitting. Here's the pacing guide. Here's what these different assignments are, all that fun stuff. And so I'm going to hit the highlights of the syllabus, but if you're interested, you can certainly go to the syllabus, or you can go into content, and then in the Start Here folder, there's going to be a link to the syllabus. Both of those are linked to the exact same thing. So there's some intro slides that I'm going to cover, and then I'll put those in the in D2L as well. So the highlights, let's see. The highlights of the syllabus are going to be summarized here. And this is the way that I'm going to present to you. I'm actually going to present to you not in presentation mode, which kind of limits some of my ability to do things, but it's actually going to be just from the designer side. And so when I want you to look at something on a slide, I can highlight the word, I can do fun things like that. So biochemistry 3500, that's what we're doing Tuesday, Thursday, starting at 9:30. Please join a couple minutes early. I'll usually have it open so that we don't have to wait. This is the only time I'm going to wait, that kind of 3-5 minutes into class. All right, so my name is Justin Palizzi, and you may have seen me on the schedule as Samuel, same guy. I just happen to go by my middle name. I have a PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology. I don't say that because you need to call me doctor, but just to let you know that I've kind of been around a little bit of science. So this is me in grad school. And so if you read the Welcome to Biochemistry document, then there's this exact same picture on there. And so this is what structural biologists do. We make pretty pictures. In a structural biology paper, typically there's one table of data, and then everything else is a picture that we made from that data. And so we made a picture of the enzyme that I was working on. There was a very important loop on the surface of the enzyme, which we color-coded magenta right here. And my job in grad school was to create a mutation that got rid of that loop and then kind of see what would happen to the sugar. And it turned out that when you remove that loop, one half of the catalytic cycle occurred, and then the sugar popped out of the enzyme. I analyzed what was happening with that instrument behind me. So that was a capillary electrophoresis machine, kind of like a fancy version of an HPLC. So I was able to separate molecules and then describe them and do fun things like that. So the materials that you will need are not going to be a capillary electrophoresis. We're just doing a lecture. There's no lab component. So you're going to need access to our textbook. We've adopted an open access resource for you, so a free textbook. You're going to need internet access, of course, because we're meeting on Teams, and then D2L is going to have our exams and things. On the exams, we're going to need a webcam, so that's going to be an important component. Scientific calculator, there will be some calculations. We talked about ATP calculations and things like that. Here in the first chapter, we'll learn about how to mix a solution, because in biochemistry, we're very interested in enzymes quite often, and we have to keep those enzymes alive. And for that, you need to give them buffers and salts and different components of solutions. So there is no lab component. You will see that I will put in some Labster lab simulations toward the end of the semester, and that's because in biochemistry, we're very interested in the sequence of events, what's happening, and sometimes that's easier to see in a visual video type scenario as opposed to me just kind of moving my hands, because I can see it in my head, but me moving my hands is not going to help you with next generation sequencing or something like that. So we don't need a composition notebook because we don't have a lab. That's maybe something you experience in chemistry, and we're not using Cengage like we do in our general chemistry courses. So the overall structure of the course, we're expecting that we're going to have some kind of low stakes activities. So participation activities are going to be frequent, but we're going to assign few points to that. Homework is going to be also frequent, but a little bit more high stakes. Quizzes, these are going to be not just kind of a one shot at it. You're going to have multiple attempts at the quizzes. We're going to have a series of exams, higher stakes, and then we're going to end the semester with a final enzyme project. And so that's going to be the biggest points. And so it kind of looks like a Christmas tree. So normal grading scale, 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89.99 is going to be a B, and I don't anticipate that I'll be, rounding any of those grades. If you get that 89.99, that still counts as a B. So lecture, we're doing lecture only. This is called a survey course because we're going to survey a large body of information. Sometimes a textbook will either say, I'm going to be a survey, you complete this in one semester, or in some places, they will actually use a textbook and they will say you're going to go more in depth. And so the first course covers the first half of the book and the second course covers the second half of the book. So being that we're just the survey course, that's what this is going to transfer as to another USG institution, for instance. In some places where you might be looking at an actual biochemistry major, I don't think anybody said that, somewhere like at KSU, they do the two-course sequence. So a chemistry major can take the survey, but a biochemistry major has to take the in-depth dive. So that would be a two-course sequence, and one or both of those may have a lab. So again, we're not doing the lab component. So I am trying to record the lectures so that you will be able to watch them asynchronously, but there will be some things that need to be completed during class, like polling the class and getting you to answer some questions so that I know that we haven't just turned on the lecture and then walked away. So participation activities are going to be highlighted for you in the lecture. I may have a question in there that we're going to go over as a class. And then there may be some questions where I actually want your feedback. And so what I'll typically do is I'll say, great, there's a through E multiple choice question. Type your answer in the chat. Don't hit enter just yet. We're going to give everybody a minute to think about their answer, and then we'll all enter our answers at the exact same time. And I'll be able to give you some feedback as to why the correct answer is correct and why some of the other answers might need to be tweaked just a little bit. So in some cases, it'll be something that you'll be able to complete outside of class. So if I can get far enough into a lecture today, then we will give you one of those. And so those are answers that you'll post in the discussion board. And then once you've posted those in the discussion board, I can give you feedback. Other people can see your answer. You can see other people's answers. So that means that we don't need to just type hi in the discussion board because I'm going to grade the first one, because once you put in hi, you're going to see everybody else's answer. So homework is actually going to be aligned to the final enzyme project. And so what the pacing will be is that every Thursday you'll have kind of the initial post for your homework where I've asked you to do something like pick an enzyme, which is what we'll be doing by this Thursday. And then on Tuesday, you'll have a follow-up assignment, right? So on Thursday, I'm going to ask you to give me, 2 enzymes that you're interested in researching. And then by Tuesday, I'm going to have helped you decide which of those 2 we should proceed with. And then you'll follow up and say, this is the actual enzyme I'm going to be studying this semester. So it'll follow that pattern of the Thursday and then the Tuesday, and that will be one homework assignment. Now, at the end of the semester, you're going to take your answers from all those homework assignments and you're going to put them into an enzyme report. So all of this stuff needs to be completed throughout the semester so that you're not creating an enzyme report from scratch at the end of the semester. The quizzes you may have experienced in another chemistry class or something, they're already preloaded in D2L. We typically don't just give you one shot. So in this case, I'm going to be giving you 5 attempts for 10 questions. That's interesting. I got a little pop-up that said that I was being kicked out of the meeting, but that was just the desktop. All right, so 10 questions per quiz, multiple attempts, quiz banks, usually over 100 questions or something, so you shouldn't be seeing a bunch of repeats. But you're welcome to take kind of as much time as you need, open notes, open resources, whatever it is, because I want you to use that as kind of a study guide for the exams. The exams, you're going to use some of the same questions, either verbatim or modifications, right? Maybe there's 10 questions on ATP, and so I kind of combine them all into one question on the exam, something like that. Exams, we're going to have 3 exams in the course. And so I will give you a periodic table in D2L. That's the one that I expect you're going to be able to use on the exam. You're not bringing in other resources. You're going to have some blank pieces of paper that you can use as scratch work. There's not going to be a makeup exam. There's no final exam replaces the lowest exam grade policy because we don't have a final exam in this course. We have a project. So the way the exams work is they'll be in D2L. They're typically going to be released on a Friday and then closing on a Monday night. So that means if you're working during the week, you've got the weekend to do it. If you're a weekend worker and a student full-time during the week, that gives you 2 weekdays to do it. And then you're working on the weekend, whatever your weekend job is. So hopefully that 4-day span is giving you some options as to when you want to take the exam. So the final enzyme report, again, we said this is going to be kind of a compilation of what you have had through the different homework assignments. You can tweak the information from the homework assignments. You can reorganize the information from the homework assignments, but it shouldn't be starting from scratch. It's not going to be all semester long. I was talking about enzyme A, and then surprise, here's an enzyme report on a different enzyme. They're all completely linked together. So take all those homework paragraphs, put it into a single report, add a bibliography and citations, all that good stuff. And so I've got different documents that will help guide you through that. Some examples of what an A paper has been in the past, a D paper has been in the past, things like that. And then there'll be some modules that we do along the way as homework that help remind you this is what a good resource is. This is what APA citations are. Things like that to help. So again, being that this is a 3,000 level class, our expectations are that you're now kind of synthesizing, doing some research. It's not just a bunch of multiple choice exams like you may have experienced in a 1,000 level or a 2,000 level class. Email policy, Georgia Highlands email is the best way to get a hold of me. If you post something in D2L as far as like an email for D2L, that only exists inside of D2L, and I don't monitor that very frequently. I'm also the department chair, so I get a lot of emails. I get pulled in a lot of different directions. So if you haven't heard from me in 2 business days for whatever your email was, please feel free to send me another email. I'll push it back up to the top of my inbox so that we can get it taken care of for you. Because again, like I said, this is my baby. This is the course that I love the most in the world. And so I want to help you build your knowledge and then make it to all those wonderful things you were talking about, whether it's PA school, medical school, the health science degree on your way to PA school, things like that. So any questions about the class? I know that's kind of a lot of information to take in all at once, but if anybody has questions, I'd be happy to field them. So there was a question. You're welcome to unmute yourself and let us know.
Thank you. Yeah, yesterday and just now, I was trying to open the link that's in the syllabus for the book. And whenever I do that and I click the PDF format,
Mhm.
it says we couldn't find that page. So I don't know if there's a different link that we can access the book.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely look into that. So, in the past, there's been 2 ways to do it. You could either click on the link that would take you to the online version of the textbook, and chapter 1, for whatever reason, is kind of weird online. And then there was a PDF. So if for some reason that ginormous PDF, like a gigabyte worth of a textbook is not loading correctly, then I can go in and take a look at that. You're welcome to also send me an email so I can tell you, I can reply to you when it's actually been completed.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to have a class without a textbook. And if you want to lower your hand, then I won't call on you again. Courtney, did you have a question?
I got my mic to work now,
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
so I can introduce myself now.
Please do.
This is my last semester at Highlands, and then I'll graduate, and and I'm applying to PA school. So this is
Okay.
one of my classes I need for PA school.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, luckily, a lot of biochemistry kind of lends itself nice to some medical applications. It doesn't mean you can't be a purist and do biochemistry for the sake of biochemistry, as my doctoral advisor would tell me all the time. But it's nice to see how it intersects with human health and some of the things that we can really kind of wrap our brains around. All right, great. So we are all going to grow in this class. In the process of the enzyme report, quite often people pick enzymes that I've never heard of before, and so I end up kind of researching that enzyme right alongside of you. And so I do look forward to the exchanges that we can have, whether it's through office hours or talking about the report, the exchanges that we're going to have in the discussion board, all that fun stuff.